Episode 40.
Hey, this is Josh Elledge from upendpr.com and savingsangel.com, and I've been in the media over 1,500 times, but there's no finer place I've ever been than on the Small Business Puzzle podcast, which you're listening to right now.
Struggling to get your business online? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Small Business Puzzle podcast. Now, here's your hosts, Michael and Teresa Blaze.
Welcome to the Small Business Puzzle podcast. I'm Michael, and I'm here with my wife, my business partner, and the love of my wife, Teresa.
Hello, everybody.
I think I said wife twice.
Yeah, we always do, so, it works.
Yeah, well, it's not my fault you have so many titles.
Yes, and I keep adding more.
Yeah, but that's the fun of being a serial entrepreneur, right?
No comment.
So, we hope that you enjoyed the last episode, our takeaway episode. If you haven't heard it yet, you can find that at sbppodcast.com/39.
Our takeaways from podcast movement, I'm telling you, it was kind of a cool episode. It's one that we've done for ever since we've been podcasting, and every time we've gone to that conference, we've always done a takeaways episode. So, that being the case...
did I tell you that John Lee Dumas did one?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, you'll definitely have to check it out. I saw it on EOFire.
Well, I'll have to go check it out and compare notes.
Definitely.
So, that being said, Mike, I know you had some announcements, and then I wanted to make a special one. Yep.
First of all, I want to announce, if you haven't seen it yet, and hopefully it didn't freak you out too much when our cover changed in the feed, but we have changed our design, our branding a little bit. I hope you like it. I think it's pretty snazzy looking, personally, thanks to podcast websites. So if you get a chance, check it out, sbppodcast.com, and click through the pages, and you'll see how cool it looks. I think it looks awesome, personally.
Yeah, I do too. Well, I wouldn't know, because I can't, it's that whole not being able to see things, so I kind of have to rely on others' vision. That being said, I think...
Pretty snazzy.
Just knowing that we have a really cool website design done by a really good group of people. And, guys, I'm going to steal this moment. And, if you're a listener to podcasts and you've thought about creating your own, there is no finer place to do that than podcast websites. And, Mike, I believe we have a link for them.
We do. sbppodcast.com/PW, Papa William.
So, yeah, and there will be a link to that in the show notes. But, seriously, I just think that's cool. So, Mike, what are the next announcements that we have?
I think the next announcement actually is your announcement.
Ah, yes. So... while in between doing all these lovely recordings and going to conferences and doing a ton of writing, I have been working on a project, guys, and I have been kind of hinting. I know I hinted at it in the last episode, but now I'm ready to kind of bring it to life. It's a little bit outside the realm. I mean, I'm not quite sure how to describe it, but I honestly believe that my calling is not just to help people market their companies and businesses. Do I think it's important? Yes. And will I continue to do so? Yes, as long as the Lord gives me the opportunity. But I wanted to make an impact somehow. And so I have been working on a project, and it is a project that revolves around answering life's most difficult questions. Those questions that always seem to nag at the back of your mind, but you don't really want to answer. What am I here for? What's the reason that, is there even a God? Does he even exist? That kind of, the big questions, the questions of life. Sometimes even questions whether you go to church or you don't. Everybody has them. And sometimes we don't answer them. Well, I've decided to take on that project. And you can find the results of this taking on of the project at unresolved.life.
Yeah, that's unresolved.life.
And what you will find when you go there is you will find a landing page, and it will have a little bit more about the podcast. And if you're interested, just put in your name and your email, and I will be giving you updates on, just what's, when it's launching, that kind of thing, and just where I'm at. If you're hearing this a little bit later, then you may find that I have some writings there, and you may find I have some podcasts and that kind of stuff. So, just go there and check it out. My hope is that you find this beneficial, and I look forward to hearing from you guys.
Fantastic. So, let's get on to who we're interviewing today.
Sounds good to me. Mike, who do we got?
We are interviewing Gabe Vega.
And who is that?
Well, Gabe is the president and CEO, I believe, of... give me just a moment, because I don't remember how to pronounce it. Commtech USA.
Ah, Commtech. I remember him. Yes. I'll tell you, this is a good interview.
Gabe grew up in Los Angeles, California. He's always worked teaching computer skills to different groups of people. Some of these groups include people in the special education system, independent living clients, and the state vocational rehabilitation system. He left the state in 2005 because he decided he wanted to work for himself. He started by putting in contact with the state of Arizona and different agencies, and grew into what is now Commtech USA. Yeah, he was a fun one to talk to.
As much as we talk about accessibility, we really tried to, bring out, I wanted to bring you guys something, because I know a lot of, we can talk a lot of business, but their business comes in many different flavors, and I believe you can learn from any person's attempts at marketing. And, this guy was just pretty much fun to talk to, and also we covered a lot of accessibility stuff. So I hope you really enjoy this interview.
So with that,
here's Gabe. So, welcome to the Small Business Puzzle Podcast, Gabe.
Thank you.
So I wanted to bring you on because you've got a very interesting story, and to a lot of our listeners, in a very unique niche. And I wanted to bring you on as an example that it really doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. You can make something happen. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing now?
Sure. My name is Gabe Vega. I am founder and CEO of Commtech USA. We are a national tech firm that specializes in blindness products, and in general, to the general public, we provide IT services on call to both consumers and businesses. What makes us unique in that, being that we're sort of tantamount to a Apple Genius Bar or a Best Buy Geek Squad, is that we provide 100% accessibility services and products to the blind.
And I mean, so you are basically the tech firm for the blind. Would that? Would that be a good and fair statement?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And how are you generating revenue currently?
We provide a multitude of services that are specialized for the blind, as well as useful to the general public. So our revenue streams come from the general public and the blind. And the services that we offer are computer sales and repair, phone sales and repair and service sales, website design and deployment, accessibility testing, remote phone and video, computer, tablet, and phone training and support, as well as local in-office in downtown Tucson training and support as well.
Oh, wow. Boy, that's a wide range of services there.
It really is. So it sounds to me like there are two things out of that description that really stand out to me. One, you keep repeating the word specialized, meaning, and I want to kind of draw everybody's attention to that. You are specialized. You know who. Like, let me back up. Who in your mind is your niche market?
My niche market is the community that I serve. I serve the blind community, and age and background and location is not a hindrance to me serving that market. Whether you're 18 years old still in high school, whether you're 25 years old in college, whether you're 40 years old and you're working, whether you're 70 years old retired, or whether you're 93 years old and just trying to maintain your independence, I have a product and a service that will fit not only your need, but fit your budget as well.
Now, Gabe, let me ask you this. How did you start out? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I've been in the computer field for well over 15 years, and in that, I've had a great career as a blind web developer, a blind software engineer, a network technician. I worked for state government for a time. And after my state government gig in 2005, I found that, there was something missing. There was just something missing in the market. You had a lot of products, like the screen reader vendors, and you had a lot of other vendors that just sold the same old, products for the blind that were not really meeting that need. And in 2005, I figured that I would bring I would help the blind realize that they had a need that wasn't being fulfilled, and that was the training and the support. And not only with that, the affordability of the training and support. If you go out there right now and you hire a mobility instructor or an assistive technology person, by the hour, you're paying at least $65, $75 and as high as $125 an hour. That's what the state pays them. Mm-hmm. And that's what they expect to get from the consumer. And in my mind, I know that unfortunately our population doesn't have that sort of disposable money at our leisure. So I said, money is money. And whether you collect it all at once up front or you collect it over time, you're still going to make money. So in the end, I sure could say, every day, blind man, you could pay me $500 and I'll teach you something right now for the next 2 days. Or I'll tell you what, Mr. Blind Man, you give me $50 a month for the next year and I'll teach you whatever you want. And I'm still going to get that $500, So in my mind, I'm assisting and I'm being compassionate and empathizing with someone's financial situation, but I'm still getting paid what I'm valued at. And I think a lot of people miss that. And if you're in this business for the money anyways, you're in the business for the wrong reasons. I'm in this business so that I could leave my knowledge and share my knowledge to people so that they could garner independence and empowerment in their lives.
Love it, Gabe. Love it.
I love that.
I mean, and that's kind of where we're at too. And I cannot agree with you more about what the agencies do. I mean, and we're not talking. I mean, maybe nationwide or worldwide, we're talking about a fairly small market. But we're, according to statistics, there's 6 million blind people between the ages that you were talking about right here in the United States. And a lot of them are internet users because, the internet's the great equalizer as far as I'm concerned. That's what got me into the internet in the first place was, wow, I don't have to grab a magnifier and try to read a phone book. I can look up their phone number online. And this is before Yellow Pages and all the other junk that, came out later.
The thing that struck me when you were talking is you're doing something very similar to what we're doing when we actually approach a client. In the sense of, I can demand my money up front, or I could just break it up into payments.
Right.
Right. I think what you come up with, man, is incredible. And I'm sure at some point we're going to be using your services.
Oh, I'm very certain that you have my interest on that front. So let me ask you this. You know who your target market is, and I think you're specialized in who your target market is. What has been the biggest challenge that you've seen trying to grow the business that you're growing?
I think it's changing the mindset of the blind is probably my biggest challenge. You wouldn't believe, and I got an article written on this in one of the blind magazines. Essentially, I service anybody. I get a lot of sighted clients who just walk in the office and they need something, and those normally go off without a hitch. I mean, literally, it's amazing that you wouldn't believe that sighted people come in, and they take a step back, and they're sort of like they take a double look on, wow, you're blind and you're running this operation, you're going to fix my computer or you're going to fix my phone. How do you do this? But once their hesitation is gone, they give me the money and said, hey man, as long as you get the job done, your blindness really doesn't matter. And that was one of the hurdles. But with the blind, I feel sometimes it's a trust issue, and maybe they feel that they don't understand how I could teach them or support them from 1,000 miles away, from 1,500 miles away, and luckily in the past 12 years that we've been in business, I've been able to change that mindset, and with our next plans of actually hiring the blind locally here in Tucson and setting up an operation center here to make employment a model that could be copied. I hope to expand that mindset change just a lot further.
I think that's fantastic, man. My hat's off to you.
No kidding. No kidding. I am ecstatic.
Because, see, I was in the computer industry myself for, I have a bachelor's degree in computer information systems, and I was doing on-site work when we were living in Phoenix, and what I was finding is that I couldn't do that work anymore because I couldn't see what I needed to be able to see. I'm having to find dip switches and trying to flip dip switches on a circuit board, and I'm having to switch between magnifiers and all this other junk trying to function. And at that time, rehab was no help at all.
Absolutely.
So I had to give up on it. It actually was a good thing that I did, though, because it was shortly after that we discovered where our strength is. And, we've been doing it for almost 10 years now. So, the persona of a blind person that's sitting on the street passing out pencils or working in a sheltered workshop is gone.
Yeah. I mean,
it really is.
See, I wanted to bring you on because I wanted to show. I mean, a lot of our people are entrepreneurs and podcasters and business owners, and I wanted to bring you on as an example that, guys, all you have to do is just select a niche and go for it. I mean, this guy, he sells to blind individuals. He sells to people that you know may not even think of. I mean, that's his target market.
Yeah.
And all you
but
have
not only
to do,
his not only blind but sighted people too.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You could still sell to who, because I remember one computer repair client that we had, and his big thing was, well, I sell to everybody. And I'm like, well, you can't sell to everybody, because if you sell to everybody, if everybody's your market, then nobody's your market. So you specify your market, but you still have the opportunity to reach out to other markets, other people that may or may not be inside that market.
Absolutely. And I think that's sort of where we kind of lay it out very clearly, is that if you look at our website, we don't specifically tout our blindness, our relationship to blindness, and our, the fact that I'm the blind owner, but I let the consumer know that the specialty is there. And it sort of gives me that leeway to market to the sighted world as a mainstream computer shop, but it does let blind people know we could absolutely take care of you in the same vein.
Yeah, and blind people have different needs when it comes to technology.
Oh, no kidding.
I mean, if you come across the tech that has no experience using a screen reader, and you're not blind yourself,
they might accidentally delete the thing and not realizing what the heck it is.
Yeah, I've seen that happen actually, where someone removes the JAWS driver. Right. The speech no longer works after that. Hello. Yeah. So let me ask you this: if because like I said, our audience is podcasters, fellow business owners, and entrepreneurs. And if you had one message that you had them in a single room, and they're sitting there, maybe they're drinking a cup of coffee and listening to you, but you had a message you wanted to give to them, what would it be?
I would honestly say that depending on VR and having someone else dictate and you expecting someone else to help build your future is in the past and will never come back again. It is now our time as blind people to truly make ourselves a success.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's brilliant. And I can't agree with you more. All the barriers are gone.
No kidding.
All the excuses are gone. The only thing,
and you don't even have to be, and you don't even have to be blind to realize that there are no barriers. There are really no excuses that are acceptable as to why you can't be successful.
But the thing is that with
and need and fill it.
Exactly. With blind people, it's changing that mindset. I mean, VR is great for certain things, for college support, things like that, absolutely. But not everybody is bound for college. And for me, for example, I went to college straight out of high school. So when I started Commtech, it was years after the need for education. So, there's a lot of agencies in my position. One of my competitors always harps on getting VR to pay for it and getting VR to pay for it and getting VR to hire my competitor. That's their message, make your counselor hire us, make your counselor hire us. It's their job. They have to. And it's like, man, I mean, if you're going to sit here and depend on the government all the time, good luck with that. Because while you're waiting on a check and you're waiting on vouchers and you're waiting on a counselor to push some papers, I've already had 5 clients and I've got some pretty good paydays.
Yeah.
You know what? And it's I can't tell you how many times,
Yeah, we need to probably explain what VR is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think that might be a good idea. For those that may not understand, VR is essentially vocational rehab. It's very big within the blindness community. They do a lot of work with blind individuals, depending, and it varies how they work from state to state.
Right.
And they specialize in helping you with different things, such as possibly helping you get into college or sort out the different things around that, or maybe they take the traditional employment route, so they want to help you get a job. Although I have noticed nowadays, finally, that they're coming around and realizing that some blind people are more entrepreneurial, and so they are doing some things to help with that. But they, on average, they seem to take a more traditional role.
Right. They say blind people. We actually had a rehab counselor tell us blind people don't make good entrepreneurs.
That's awful. That's not a good thing to say at all.
No. Well, and the thing was when they. It was actually in Arizona that they told us this, and Mike and I just looked at the phone and went, I don't think we're going to do business with you then.
Right.
Why waste our time and our brain power jumping through your hoops to try to get the help that we need, to get the support that we need?
Arizona is one of the worst VR states out there, and I'm so glad that I don't have VR clients, because they would probably not give me any business if I said that to them. But but I mean that their VR system is so 1970s, and I don't see them coming out of the past.
Yes. No, not happening. But
they've come a little ways.
Now don't get me wrong, though. I would definitely like to clarify, like literally, because that's where people get a little bit confused. I am not an entrepreneur. I have a LLC, and I'm incorporated to where we truly do have a board of directors. We have standard operation practices and things of that nature. I do not to where, and I wish a lot more blind people would sort of go that route. I don't think corporate's bad. I don't think corporate's evil. I've absolutely modeled my firm after a corporate structure, simply because I think entrepreneurs still have a little bit of ways to go to become recognized as mainstream legitimate at this point. And I feel that you're a lot more structured and a lot more secure when you go more corporate. And I think when I hear people call themselves entrepreneurs, like a lot of the small time little itty bitty marketers out there, but they're asking for corporate prices. That's where you just got to shake your head and just sort of move on, because and maybe I'm just like gabbing too much here, but essentially an entrepreneur is not a business owner, and I think people sort of mix up the two. They're not synonyms, you know what I mean?
Well, okay. What in your mind, what is the difference?
In my mind, an entrepreneur is someone who creates businesses and who is a creative artist type person, who likes to say, here's an idea, let's make it happen. A business owner is someone who actually owns, runs, and manages a business. And what I mean by that is, in my field, for example, Commtech has had a couple of so-called competitors. And in that, I've seen 3 of them shut down within the past 5 years. And they had the same story, that they were an entrepreneur and they started this business and they're doing great. But then when you ask them to produce a 1040, when you ask them to produce a business plan, when you ask them to produce, standard operation practices, they have no clue what you're talking about, because again, they were just entrepreneurs. They weren't business owners.
Well, there's a stage there, I think, because we are business owners in the fact that we have an established business and we run that business, but we're not incorporated yet. That is something that's a stage of growth that we haven't reached yet. But no, I hear what you're saying, and I think it's important to realize that when you grow past the point where your venture, the business that you created, that you pulled out of your head and made happen, whatever business that is, tech support or web development or maybe an invention of some kind. Once you do that, then you do need to do your due diligence, and you do need to do the corporate thing and put the protections in place, etc. And I also think it's probably a good idea as you're going to go ahead and do a business plan. And I imagine, I don't know statistically, but I would imagine most entrepreneurs don't.
Yes, correct.
We have a business plan that we created, and
And so, don't feel any of my statements are directed towards you or your staff. I mean, that's not
right.
My intent.
No, and I didn't. Okay. I didn't. I was just I'm trying to, because there is a definite difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur.
Right.
So, I mean, you were an entrepreneur at one point.
I think I think maybe within the first 6 months of 2005, absolutely I was. But then once I incorporated and understood, and understood the only way to have revenue come in, to have capital invested, you know what I mean, to have people, have shares,
Absolutely.
That's an entrepreneur cannot manage those tasks. There are definitely two different types of people.
Yeah, I don't think it's a different type of people. I think it's a different stage of growth, personally.
There comes that point. I mean, I think you're always going to have, once you get the taste, it's kind of like what I like to call the entrepreneurial bug. Once you get a taste of it, once it gets in your blood, you can't really do anything else. Whether you grow to the point where you are incorporated and you are a business owner, quote unquote, and you, it reminds me of the, let me back up. Are you familiar with Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
No.
Okay. He describes 4 types of people. And your statement kind of reminds me of these 4 types. The 4 types are, employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. Okay? And a lot of people are stuck in the employee stage where I just have to get a job. But your goal ultimately is to move over to the other side of the bracket, that being business owner and investor. A self-employed is working and trading time for dollars. A business owner leverages businesses and has systems in place to grow, and so on and so forth. An investor invests in businesses. If I remember,
no, Mike, you're right on, Trace.
Okay,
you're right on. Okay. Employee, self-employed, business owner, investor.
Right. And so a lot of times when I look at someone and I talk to someone, I run them through that gate. Well, where do they fit? Are they a B? Or are they an E, S, B, or I? And I know for me, I'm an S, but I'm moving to a B. My ultimate goal, I want to be an investor. I want to buy and sell businesses, but I have to run the race. And I think once you get a taste of that entrepreneurial bug, you can't help It's you know, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I think once you get a taste of it, you can't really do anything else.
I think my stage in this was truly to. I really get gratification from training. I like I said, I literally have students in high school, and my oldest client right now is 91 years old. He's a retired nuclear engineer.
Oh, wow.
I've had clients as high as 93, and just a grandmother trying to leave a legacy to her grandchildren, and that is what drives me honestly, the money is not why I do this. I could easily go to Apple, go to Microsoft and make $100,000 today. But I don't do it for that. I do it because when I get a thank you call, a thank you letter, I have a thank you letter hanging in my office framed from the 93-year-old grandmother that she wrote by herself on her computer, printed it out on her printer, and signed it with the pen. And this is going from never using technology in 93 years to me teaching her for about 6 to 8 weeks and having the ability and the independence to do all that all on her own. And that's why I do what I do. Same thing with the nuclear engineer. Never really got into computers and technology, except when he was younger in his career. And computers back in his day, in the 60s and 70s, weren't really what we call computers today. So to go from not using a computer at all to mastering an iPhone 6, to read his Bible for his religious studies, to read books for his entertainment, to read the news for his daily reading, to listening to radio, to be involved with politics, all these things. I had the honor to be the one to show that man that, yes, even though you're 91, even though your eyes are bad, even though there's a lot you might not be able to do independently, I could teach you to be as independent as you want to be with this iPhone. And that is why
That's
I do
fantastic.
what I do.
And I could not, hearing that, I am ecstatic. And I think that,
it sends shivers up and down your spine because it's exactly how we feel with the clients that we work with.
Yep.
That when they succeed, when we see them, when we see the light go on, and all of a sudden they're realizing what it is that they need to do to push their business forward as far as their marketing, or we succeed and all of a sudden they're getting clients that they never would have had if we hadn't help them get to where they are. That's the ultimate satisfaction right there.
It really is. And I think I just want to bring it back. Hey guys, one, specialize in your niche. Number two, make sure you know why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Make sure you know what your why is. For him, for Gabe here, it's training people and giving them independence. But what's yours? What's your reason? Ask yourself that. Hey, Gabe, one last question before we go. What app or piece of technology are you finding that you are using right now that what our audience could take advantage of?
There is an app that I really enjoy. It is the Apple News app. I find it very accessible. I find it that it has a multitude of newspapers and informational articles, and I'm probably in it about 15 times a day.
Very cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
And Gabe, if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Our primary point of contact would probably be the website. That's Commtech, COMMTECH USA.net. And that stands for Communications technology. When people hear Commtech, they always put one M, but it's CommtechUSA.net, and where we say communications technology. It's who we are, and it's what we do.
Very good, very good. Well, Gabe, I just want to thank you for coming on the show. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much, guys. This has been a great show, and I'm very glad to be here.
Wonderful. Hey, guys, thank you for listening in. And with that, I'm Teresa.
I'm Michael.
And this has been the Small Business Puzzle Podcast, and we're out.
You've been listening to the Small Business Puzzle Podcast. To catch all our past shows, visit sbppodcast.com.